M3gan, a film that is produced from the Blumhouse company as well as the James Wan production company. And if you don't know anything about me with horror, I would say one of my all-time favorite directors is James Wan. I love basically everything that he's directed. Unfortunately, he didn't direct this film. M3gan is about a little girl who loses both of her parents in the same car crash, and then she's forced to go live with her aunt, who is just a tech junkie, has a career in technology, works on AI 24/7. That's basically her life. She didn't want a kid, she didn't really want a family or anything, but she's stuck with her niece because, well, good aunt, I guess. Now, further on, the aunt develops this AI called M3gan, who is basically just an artificially intelligent little girl that befriends Katie, the little girl. And basically this entire film is around M3gan ending up miscommunicating with her own technological prowess and ultimately just going berserk and killing as many things as possible. Now, before actually dissecting and going into my review, one thing I do always want to preface as far as these kind of films go, whether it's horror, thriller, psychological, anything that pertains to complete auto technology control going bad, I'm a huge fan of those kind of storylines, because as much of a fan as I am of, say, like the Tesla or the Echo Dot, stuff as minute as that, I don't completely believe in complete, total technological power. I don't believe that when you walk in your door and you say one word, everything turns on or off. I don't fully believe in that. I think that's a stupid way to set up your entire house and lifestyle. That's just me. But I appreciate films like this because it really shows the general audience my perspective on it, how bad it can actually go wrong. And M3gan is no exception. This does show some gritty behavior from a complete AI. And by the end of the film, M3gan does end up forcing herself into all of the homes and the power grids of everything. So, as far as that aspect of this film, 10 out of 10. They nailed that completely perfectly as far as how bad AI can actually go. Now, the film itself, personally, it's another 2020s horror film that's filled with major scare jumps, and it's super cliche, it's super predictable, but it's also super well made. It's not really that well written, it's kind of poorly written. A lot of the dialogue feels very forced, very jarring. At least they mostly got the tone consistent throughout the whole film. Now, this is basically a comedy horror, and there are some aspects of it that are actually pretty damn funny. There's one scene in particular I did not at all agree with. It was around the beginning. It was definitely in the first act. I'd say within the first 40 minutes. And it involves animal cruelty and whether they were going for shits and giggles, which I did hear some laughter in the crowd, or whether they were just going for all-out horror effect. I'm just not a fan of animal cruelty. I'm glad that they didn't show anything on screen. They only implied what happened and further explained what happened. But when it comes to animals, I always give animals the absolute most benefit of the doubt. Even if they're a stray dog going and just biting everybody, it's because they don't know better. They do not deserve to just be put down immediately. Honestly, I firmly believe that if you're an owner of a pet that ends up, say, terrorizing your neighbors, it shouldn't be the pet that gets put down. I'm not saying the human should get put down, but the human should be the one to pay the price, whether it be through a lot of hefty fines or even jail time. I do not believe that an animal should ever be punished, especially whenever it comes to being a pet. Now, just got that out of the way. That's really the only biggest really bad gripe that I have against this film. Otherwise, my gripes towards this film is just how so monotonously mediocre this is as a horror film. Comedically, it's kind of really funny. As far as horror-wise, it's super been there, done that. Honestly, by the end of this film, it felt like James Wan and co. just wanted to get out their own iRobot for the 2020s before anybody else did, because that's essentially what this is, with not really very many new inventive ideas. But given the aspect of the whole complete AI total control, I do appreciate that out of the aspect of the horror. But as I said, super cliche and predictable. The jump scares are pretty bad. Also, I never thought I would say this about a film, because usually I just kind of meander past it, but the foreshadowing in this film is so excessive, and that's where the predictability comes in. Every single scene just has looming aspects of foreshadowing of what's going to happen next or what's going to end up happening. And you can just tell everything from a mile away, even further than that. You can tell things that are going to happen at least 10 minutes before they happen. And, I mean, this film looks great and everything, but that's really where I draw the line as far as it being a well-made film. It just looks great. Even the acting is honestly kind of really stilted. Just all of the actors and actresses in this film. I mean, throughout the film, I'll give it this, that there is emotional heft in this film, just with some monologues and monologuing in this film, especially from the little girl, but everything just feels so jarringly ham-fisted, kind of like they just wanted to get so much shit into this film because they wanted to make their own iRobot for the 2020s. And they wanted to do it, I guess, with as many ideas as possible. And this isn't a complete failure of a film, because there are actually a lot of scenes in this film that I was very, very much invested in. Especially when shit's about to go down, and then the shit that you expect to go down ultimately completely goes down the exact same way you expect it to go down. Which is bad, that you thought that it would go exactly like that, but the way they made it, it was very entertaining to watch it all unravel. And I appreciate that aspect of this film in its horror aspects. But overall, for me, this is not a great film. It's honestly not really that good of a film. It's not a bad film. It's tolerable, but it's okay at the very best. Honestly, it's a super mediocre film. It's not 2023's Malignant, which Malignant was, what, 2021? Malignant was a damn good film with a pretty good twist, a pretty upsetting twist, honestly. But M3gan tried to capture what Malignant gave us a couple years ago. And some of it was captured, but a whole lot of it was not captured. Or they captured things from it and they just failed miserably putting it into M3gan. Overall, for me, I want to give this a 5 out of 10, but because even though the super predictable scenes actually are very entertaining when they go through, I'm gonna be a sucker and just give M3gan a 6 out of 10. Thank you. If you would like to support my reviewing passion to the fullest, please click the link in the description of this video to subscribe to my OnlyFans. Thank you.